Hi, and welcome back to Pathways to Wealth, the show that's all about teaching you skills that you can use to create income, build wealth, and live free. So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about Bitcoin. Is it a good investment? And this is an updated assessment for the later part of 2016. So in the later part of 2013, Bitcoin ran up from about $100 all the way up to over $1,000. And around that time, I actually issued my first blog post called Is Bitcoin a Good Investment? And at the later part of November of 2013, the price of Bitcoin was up around $900. It actually topped out right around $900. And I was concerned because a lot of people were asking me, Chris, Bitcoin looks like it's hot. What do you think I should do? And my response is always, well, hey, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't tell you what to do, but here's what I would do. And these are my thoughts. And what I told everybody was, at that point, Bitcoin was in a parabolic mode, and a lot of people had FOMO, or fear of missing out, and were chasing the highs, meaning they didn't care that Bitcoin had basically just went from 100 to 900. They were like, no, this thing's going to 10,000 a coin. I just need to get rich, right? And I was concerned. Anytime I see people, but basically buy into mass hysteria or exuberant bullishness, I start to get really concerned. And so what I explained was just kind of the risks of Bitcoin, just as kind of like a new asset class, because even today, Bitcoin is still an experiment. It has gained a lot of traction. And one thing that has not happened, and I don't think will ever happen, is Bitcoin has not been hacked. Despite what the media says, and there have been third-party services like Mt. Gox, which I did alerts for months in advance, telling people that I thought they were insolvent, along with, other exchanges that have gone out of business, wallets that have been hacked, so third-party services can be hacked, but the Bitcoin protocol itself cannot be hacked. Well, how can I say that so confidently? Well, there is a $10 billion pie at stake for anybody that can hack it, and nobody has. So I believe in the Bitcoin protocol. I think that borderless, boundless, trustless money is an incredible thing. And in fact, I would call it the biggest financial revolution of the past 100 years or more. But when it comes to an investment, there's more to look at. So going back to my blog post from 2013, this is kind of the framework that I set up. I said, how do you know if you should invest in Bitcoin? And the few things that you want to look at are you comfortable buying something at its current valuation? And at that time, I was like, are you comfortable buying something that has increased 5,000 to 10,000% in the past year? And do you accept all the risks of Bitcoin? Would you be able to survive? Would you be able to pay your rent or mortgage and have grocery money tomorrow if Bitcoin went to zero? And then the third thing is, are your primary investment goals fully funded before putting play money into a new asset that maybe you don't know anything about? If you can answer yes to those, then maybe it is a good decision. I don't know. For me, I was actually interested in shorting it at that point. I did not buy up at the highs. I was interested in the crash that I foresaw coming. And for those of you that know the history, over the course of 2014, I was actually shorting all the way down to 200, to where I actually bought pretty much the low of 2015 at 188. And so it was just incredible timing. And the reason why I was able to do that is because I understand mass human psychology, and I understand obviously technical analysis and how to read a chart. But the biggest thing is understanding not just the technical side of Bitcoin charts, which are only so reliable, but also the bigger picture, the fundamental picture. And when I say fundamental analysis, like for anybody that's used to the stock market, when we talk about fundamental analysis, usually we're talking about the health of a company, right? If you look at like Apple stock, you ask, what's their earnings? What's their debt load, right? Like, how are their sales going? What are the trends? That's fundamental analysis. With Bitcoin and really just cryptocurrencies in general, it's more about the what the cryptocurrency does, right? There have been hundreds of alternative currencies or altcoins that have come out that basically offer nothing new. They have no value proposition, and 95% of those go to zero, right? They're just like penny stocks, somebody creating a currency. It doesn't catch on, it doesn't offer anything new, and it dies. And then you have other coins and other ecosystems and tools that come out like Ethereum and Factum and some of these other ones that have gained traction. But Bitcoin is and was and still is the first successful cryptocurrency experiment. So when we look at, is it a good investment today? Well, let's just kind of look at the chart. So one thing that I did throughout 2015 is I was accumulating, meaning I was buying Bitcoin for a long-term hold in the 200s. So I thought that after everybody panicked, after the big run from 100 to 1,000, and then Bitcoin came all the way back down to those pre-bubble prices, right? Because this is where the bubble started. I call it the China bubble of 2013. In 2015, we were back all the way at those prices. So I felt like that was a really, really good value. And what looks to be obvious in hindsight, right? Hindsight's always 2020. A lot of people were just very bearish at this point. And in fact, in 2014, I'm not going to mention any names, but there was a hedge fund manager that I guess he manages like $300 or $400 million bucks. And he was actually trolling me on Twitter saying, Bitcoin is dead and Apple Pay is the winner. I think he actually put out a blog post talking about how Apple Pay was going to crush Bitcoin, if I'm not mistaken. And he was actually trolling me on Twitter. And that same guy today is now writing articles that are positive about Bitcoin. So over the past 3 years, I've seen a dramatic shift from Wall Street and traditional finance guys and ladies that just a couple of years ago were completely trashing Bitcoin, saying it was a failed experiment and that it was going away, to now they're going, okay, well, maybe this thing is legit. Maybe it's not going away. And I talked about this at the my Vegas summit last year, where now Wall Street is fully bought in. And the difference now is we have over $1 billion in startup capital that's been raised for Bitcoin startups. So not only is there a massive amount of money pouring into services that are being built around the Bitcoin ecosystem, but you also have favorable regulation coming out in most first world countries. Of course, you're going to have the odd country that is afraid of Bitcoin and tries to ban it, like Russia, but people are still operating and using and raising money for Bitcoin in Russia and places like that. Thailand's another country that hasn't been Bitcoin friendly, but then again, they like to put regulations in place and then not really enforce them. Japan right now is absolutely blowing up. Their trading volume is going through the roof. And I think that because of the state of their economy and the projected state of their economy over the next several decades, a lot of people in Japan are becoming very interested in Bitcoin. And I think that's also contributing to the bullishness that we've seen this year. User adoption in the States and in most, again, first world countries is at an all-time high and growing month after month after month. And there's new innovation every day, talking about Ethereum and, dApps, decentralized applications, new ICOs, initial coin offerings are coming out all the time. And while there have been more failures in the cryptocurrency space than successes, overall, this new economy, this new ecosystem is growing at a really rapid pace. And for anybody that has been sitting on the sidelines, I think now is just a great time to be in this. I mean, like I said, this is the biggest financial revolution that I think anybody that's alive has ever seen. There's a big difference between investing and trading Bitcoin. So trading is when you basically speculate, when you are buying long, right? You're hoping that you buy low and then price goes up and you sell for a profit, or you short, where you sell first, the price crashes, you buy back at a lower price and you make money when it crashes, right? There are ways that you can grow your wealth, build your Bitcoin holdings or your fiat currency holdings, however you want to position yourself. There's a way that you can grow your accounts by actively trading, and there's also strategies and a way to effectively invest in Bitcoin. So if you guys have read the book Pragmatic Capitalism by Colin Roach, you know that investing is taking capital and investing it in future production, right? So like if you invest in a startup, that's true investing. But if you just buy Apple stock, that's really not investing, that's saving. You're placing your savings in that stock because that money is not being used to produce something. It's basically on the secondary market. So without getting too deep into what money is and what investing is, I just want to really differentiate between investing and trading, right? So trading is actively entering and exiting a market with discipline, with risk management. Sometimes it's a day trade. Sometimes you're in and out quickly. Sometimes it's a swing trade where you hold for several days or weeks. That's typically what I do. And then position trading, where you can be in a trade for several months. But the reason why I want to differentiate between the two is because there are different strategies, right? So here we are kind of mid 2016 going into the fall and summer sessions, which are typically a little bit lower volume depending on the year. But whenever you look at Bitcoin as an investment, you have to look at where it came from. So like I said, in 2015, I thought that Bitcoin was an excellent investment. The media was negative on it. Everybody that bought at all-time highs probably puked at some point, meaning if they bought at 1,000 and they see price at 200, they're like, I can't take the pain anymore. Let me get my 200 out of this, right? So when that happens, when all the sellers are flushed out of a market, what happens? Well, you have people that start to accumulate. It's called the accumulation phase, where people just buy and it holds a low, which you can see for the entire year of 2015, it was holding. And then right up until the end of the year, we had a big spike. And because of that, Bitcoin was actually the best performing currency of 2015. And then going into 2016, it's also had extreme bullishness where the price has effectively doubled. And that has attracted a lot of new money. So the problem is, and this is why I do these episodes and these videos and the classes, and the big problem is that people don't want to buy, most people don't want to buy or invest in something until it's hot, right? Until everybody's talking about it. Well, the problem with that is usually at that point, it's too late, right? Whenever people are investing in something that's well known and everybody's already bought, that usually is the sign of a top. You really want to subscribe to Warren Buffett's belief that you want to buy when people are scared, right? You want to be greedy when people are scared. Like here in 2015, everybody was scared of Bitcoin. That's when you buy. And when everybody's greedy and prices doubled or tripled, that's when you take profit. That's when you sell, or that's when you at least hedge your bets, right? But the problem with a lot of I call them mom and pop investors, is they don't do anything until every news piece is talking about it, until CNBC and Forbes and, all these gurus and pundits on TV are talking about how Bitcoin is the greatest thing. Well, it's kind of like the greater fool theory. How high is high? When do you know if you're buying too high? Well, you're not buying too high as long as there's another greater fool theory, as long as there's another fool that's willing to buy higher than you, right? That's why if you just do the opposite of what feels natural, right? When everybody's scared, if you just kind of think, well, why is everybody scared? What are my convictions about this? Do I believe in this? Then you'll be able to buy low, right? Now, sometimes you have a stock or a market that just because price is low doesn't mean it's a good investment. It might be a dead coin, right? There have been several coins that have had big pop and flops that never recovered because they don't offer anything. So the idea and what you want to ask yourself is, A, do you believe fundamentally in the asset that you're investing in? Doesn't matter if it's gold or a real estate deal or Bitcoin or an altcoin or even the stock market, right? Like if you believe that we are in a stock market bubble because the Fed has effectively been just pumping billions and billions of dollars into this market to prop it up, and you feel like a crash is coming, that's just an example. Or is the market being greedy right now, or is it fearful? If you look at history in the stock market, the best time in recent history to buy was when things were the ugliest in 2008. That was the start of the biggest bull market in recent times, right? And the same pattern plays out time and time again. So whenever we look at, is Bitcoin a good investment? Just think like a contrarian. Do you believe in Bitcoin as an asset class? If you do, then look for investment opportunities, and it's all about timing, right? I talked about this in the last episode where we discussed, is day trading dead? Predicting the markets is one thing, right? Like you can say, well, I'm bullish on Bitcoin, and then, 5 years from now, price goes up, and you're like, I'm a genius, right? But it's all about timing. You have to predict and take action at the right time. So it's about making the right decision on time, right? So right now, again, looking at kind of mid 2016, that's why I'm doing this episode right now, halfway through the year, price has effectively doubled or tripled over the past year. So you ask, is that a value deal? Or do I trade? Do I buy and sell and short and grow my wealth through actively participating in the market, not just looking to buy low, right? So if it were me, I would be waiting for panics and washouts to accumulate for long term while simultaneously trading in and out of the market, growing your trading capital that you can use to invest longer term. And some of you guys may have seen the pictures and stuff that I post about diversifying. Sometimes I'll take trading or investing profits from Bitcoin and invest it in tangible assets like physical gold. I feel like over the past year, it's been a really good time to get a value deal on gold. So I've been buying physical gold. I don't necessarily actively trade gold anymore, but what I've been doing over the past year is accumulating physical gold. So when you have gold that's down, 30, 40, 50% over the past several years, and then you have Bitcoin that has tripled over the past year, to me, that says a good time to move some of the profits and the value from Bitcoin into an asset that's lower, right? I'm always looking at kind of the long-term macro view on fear and greed on different asset classes. So, for example, real estate has been very bullish for the past, 5 or more years, where before that it was the best buying opportunity ever. And I'm kind of kicking myself because I was a little bit slow. I could have taken more action. I was investing. I just wasn't investing fast enough. And now I'm kind of pushing on the brakes a little bit. I'm making sure that I'm buying the best of the best deals in the best markets, meaning undervalued markets, not just chasing deals. Because there was an article that recently came out that said like luxury markets like the Hamptons are getting hammered. They're just getting creamed right now. And I think real estate is a great asset class if you know how to buy right, if you know how to invest right. And the same thing goes for Bitcoin. I look at every asset class as a chart, and I look at what are people thinking and doing. And if I believe in the asset class, then at that point, it's all about timing. So my biggest kind of advice, I guess, would be this: don't overtrade. Don't let your emotions, or overinvest really too. Don't let your emotions ride on every little move up or down in Bitcoin. Have a plan, right? Like if you're an investor, you're obviously going to have a much longer term plan. If you're a trader, set your risk, understand market dynamics, understand a strategy, and trade it, stick to your plan. And for anybody that is interested in learning how to effectively trade Bitcoin, feel free to grab a copy of my book called How to Trade Bitcoin for Serious Profit. I've now had several years of publicly posted trades. And in this book, I go through a lot of trade examples and show kind of the key differences of the traditional finance markets and why I think Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are just one of the most powerful markets to trade right now. So kind of a quick episode today. I just wanted to really explain that Bitcoin, in my opinion, is the biggest financial revolution that we've ever seen. I believe in it. I'm seeing how it's changing the world. We've got places like Myanmar and Argentina and Greece and places that are just having currency crises that are really adopting this new technology, and people are using it not just to buy and sell, goods and services, but also as a store of value. So it's a currency, kind of like fiat currency, but it's also a store of value like gold. And it has a lot of the best properties from all of those other asset classes. So, over the past 3 years have just been a really fun ride, and I'm bullish on Bitcoin long term. But again, it's all about timing, and think like Warren Buffett. Buy when people are scared and sell when the market is being greedy. And if you just follow those tenets, you may not pick the bottoms and tops of a market, but at least you'll be on the right side of the trade. So I hope this is helpful, guys. Share this show with your friends. If you know anybody that would benefit from this, please like these up, leave me a comment, ask questions, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.